Sometimes it's about inspiration, motivation. Sometimes we need to get ourselves fired up because we can't even get out of bed, right? We can't go do the things we want to do. We don't have energy. We need some energy. Sometimes we just need to learn, right? Like sometimes we need to learn what's happening so we can have a plan of how to get better. This isn't magic, y'all. We're all going after a life that we desire. You're going after building and designing a life that you don't need a break from. Some of it's going to be in your own work and right, like kind of your luck, so to speak, right? You meeting the right people or you putting yourself in the right position. A lot of it, and you all know this by being here, a lot of it's just going to come down to how you think about things, how you think about your life, how you think about the story that you're telling, like how you think about it. Because we become what we think about. You just heard him say that, David Bayer say that in a different way, but very similar to all the stuff we've been talking about. You become what you think about. So the question is, are you thinking about what you're thinking about? That's the question. Like if we become what we think about, then you want to become something. Are you aware of what you're actually thinking about? Are you aware of how your nervous system is operating? I'm in my nervous system season, y'all. So whatever personal growth, personal development I've been doing, therapy work, all the stuff that I've been doing, I'm in my nervous system season where I'm talking a lot about nervous system, where I'm understanding more how our nervous system reacts to certain things, how you might want to change something, but your nervous system remembers a programming and it's forcing you to do the same things over and over again, not out of your like your own will, but because this is how you're programmed. This is how you've been programmed, right? And if we're unaware of that programming, we'll keep getting the same results and wonder why. And so I'm glad David Bayer talked a little bit about nervous system stuff, but there's a bunch of things in there. Remember, y'all, I want y'all to be able to grab this stuff and apply it in your life. There might be something that you heard that you're like, I need to apply that right now. I need to think about it a little bit differently today on this Monday. I need to change how I think about things just a little bit differently so I can get a better result. And some of the things that he talked about in there, right? One, I wrote down, don't focus on lack. He opened it up with, right, like Napoleon Hill talks about having a burning desire, but oftentimes they say, right, having the burning desire and then not focusing on your current circumstance, your current environment. Why? Because you're going to constantly remind yourself what you don't have. You'll constantly remind yourself of the lack. Well, again, what you focus on, you get more of. I know this mindset thing's tricky, right? This mindset thing can really mess you up, but it could work in your favor if you understand it. But if you got a burning desire for something, but then you start looking around at your circumstance and you start looking at your environment, and every day you're looking for that thing to show up, you're actually becoming more aware of lack. You're becoming more aware of what you don't have versus just becoming the person that would be able to have that thing, becoming the person that embodies that thing. He gave something really specific, the primal versus, right, the powerful emotion, the primal emotion versus the powerful emotion. Tony Robbins talks a lot about this, guys. We hear the same things over and over again. Why? Because success leaves clues. You're not going to hear new things a lot of times from very successful people because there's only a certain amount of things you got to do. So that's why you just hear it over and over again in different ways. But Tony Robbins talks about your state, right? Your state. That's where you get your power from, is from, right, your state, where your energy flows. If you're in a depressive state, you are probably hunched over, shallow breathing. You don't have full life, full energy. You're in a joyful, blissful state. You probably are breathing differently, standing differently, moving differently. Most importantly, you probably have different thoughts because that's what I wrote down. Your thoughts. When do you move into primal? It's all because of your thoughts and feelings. If you're in this primal state of anxious, worry, right? Depression, fear, shame, guilt, all of those emotions that we feel on a daily basis, y'all. You feel them on a daily basis. The question is, right? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about? Because if you're feeling those things on a daily basis, those come from thoughts. Our feelings come from our thoughts. So that means, what are you thinking about to put you in that state? And can we change our thinking so we can change our life, right? But being just aware enough to understand the primal emotions, right, versus the powerful ones, the joy, the excitement, the ecstasy, the passion, the contentment, the peace, the happiness, like that stuff that we want to experience. But are we aware of what moves us from one side to the other? Are we aware of how much we're living our lives in the primal side? Are we aware of how much we are moving towards, or like he said, getting the resistance, right, away from the powerful emotions, right? I think these are the things that are the most important that we just got to pay attention to a little bit more as we go through this process. I wrote down the resistance state versus the flow state. You're powerful when you're connected to your intuition, when you're connected to your intelligence, when you're connected to that, right? Those of you that are athletes or are performers, or you've done anything and you get into flow state. You've heard that saying before. I'm in flow state. It's almost unconscious. It's almost like you're doing this because you're connected to those powerful emotions. You don't get in flow state when you're connected to the primal emotions. You're not in flow state when you're anxious and upset and depressed and all the other things, right? So we have to be very, very aware of that. Your thoughts create your emotions. And the key to this personal development is building a different neurology. I know it sounds like a lot, building a different neurology. I know, but you just got to understand we're programmed. You, me, all of us, we're programmed to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to do a certain thing. How do we get programmed? By what we consume, by what we put in our eye gates and our ear gates, by who we've listened to in our life, by who we hold valuable in our life. They've given us a talk track. They've programmed us. Depending on what you've watched, what environment you're in, who you're around, all of this has led to how you think about things. Not the truth, but how you, right? Not fact. Let me say, it's not necessarily fact. It's just how you think of it. And so once we understand that, we can change and reprogram ourselves to get to the place where we can program ourselves for what we do want. Success, happiness, whatever those things are. Ultimately, it's freedom. Ultimately, it's freedom. It's funny that, right, this stuff correlates in my Rich Dad calendar today. August 17th says freedom is a gift to treasure. Freedom is a gift to treasure. So when we're going after our ideal life, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand there's a part of this where you have to become free emotionally, right? Like no bondage on you. Like you have nothing that holds you back. You have no limiting beliefs. Like you become free in your mind. You become free. There's a process to this. There's a sacrifice to this, right? This is why most people are not free because they don't do this work. That's why this is important. That's why this process is important, is so you can continue to get free in your mind. Awareness is the first step to change, okay? Awareness is the first step to change. Always remember that. So most times you won't change because you're just not aware. You're not aware of what's actually driving you. You're not aware of, like it says here, what if you're thinking about what you're thinking about. That's metacognition. And in our text, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets, talked about the world class embraces metacognition. So here's what it says. It says, when it comes to thoughts, feelings, and attitudes, the masses are heavily influenced by external forces, like a pinball being bounced around from bumper to bumper. Their outer world determines their inner world. World-class thinkers are just the opposite. Knowing their thoughts control their feelings, the great ones have adopted the habit of thinking about what they think about. Psychologists refer to this as metacognition. This championship habit enables the performer to get to the root of the thoughts that bring about both positive and negative feelings. One more time. Psychologists refer to this as metacognition. This championship habit enables the performer to get to the root of the thought that brings about both positive and negative feelings. Once the performer is aware of the thoughts that are ultimately creating his result, he has the power to change any thought he chooses. In essence, metacognition enables the performer to take control of his thought processes. This makes the champion's reality directly opposite of the masses, in that the great one's inner world determines their outer world. In other words, the results they achieve on the outside are dictated by the thoughts they have on the inside. One more time. In other words, the results they achieve on the outside are dictated by the thoughts that they have on the inside. The masses are victims of their own thoughts. They have the same potential for greatness as the pros do, yet are simply not paying attention to what they are allowing to enter their minds. And the results are disastrous. Meanwhile, the world class is thriving on upgraded thoughts that are manifesting tremendous results. They know that the better they become at controlling their thoughts, the better their results will be. And it all begins with metacognition. Are you thinking about what you're thinking about? How did you get into that depressive state? How did you get into that anxious state? How did you get into that angered state? Like, where are you thinking about what you're thinking about to get you to the places that you are? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about when you have less energy, when you choose to overeat, when you choose to overshop or overspend, when you choose to, right, detach from your family, like whatever the things are in your life? Are you aware of the thought process that creates that thing? Or do you think that it's just that thing, right? Oh, I just feel that way. Oh, that's just who I am. Or that's just how I've dealt with it. Or that's just, right? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about? I'll tell you, this concept has helped me tremendously. Again, you'll hear it for all successful people, but like in general, it's helped me tremendously. We all go through, remember, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to it. So we all go through the same types of things. So have I been through seasons of depression? Of course. Seasons of depressive states, seasons of anxious states, seasons of stress, seasons of fear. Like I've gone through all the same things that everyone else goes through. You know what's different now though? Is because those seasons don't last long. See, maybe 7, 8 years ago, I would have a season of depression and I wouldn't even be aware that it was really depression. I would just have a little bit lower, right? Lower energy. My mind wouldn't be clicking the same. I wouldn't want to do the same things. I would blame it on other things. I wouldn't even know that that was what depression was. And it would take me months to get out of it, right? You guys all know if you've ever been in a depressive state, it takes you some time. It takes you a month or two before you like kick in and you're like, oh, that's what this was, right? Maybe 7, 8 years ago, that might take me 2, 3, 4 months to get out of that. Today, at present time, I could probably get out of a depressive state in a day or two. To go from months of something kicking your butt and being the reason why you can't go after your goals and dreams, why these things start happening, why life, to go from months of sitting in that to going to a few days of sitting in it and then just being so aware to be like, man, how did I get, why am I feeling this way? I wasn't feeling this way 3 days ago. Why do I feel this way? Man, what happened? Man, what was I thinking about? What thought is dominant for me? Like just taking time to actually detach from yourself and just capture your thoughts. Like, man, how'd that thought get in there? Oh, I was watching that documentary. Oh, I was talking to that guy and he said something about the da. That's how it got in. And then I started watching. Oh, okay, got it. Now I'm aware. I'm aware of the thought that creates the feeling. I'm not focused so much on getting out of the feeling. I'm focused on like getting the thought out of my mind, changing the thought, rewiring the thought, changing my neurology, changing how my brain pathways work so that I can get a different thought. How do we do that? Sometimes you just have to consume different things. Sometimes instead of just consuming different things, sometimes you have to read and give yourself affirmations and give yourself a better talk track. This is why affirmations are so important because now whatever your natural talk track is that you've been programmed to that might be of the primal emotions, they might be of fear, they might be of lack, they might be right of those things, you reprogram by saying it with repetition over and over again to yourself the opposite of what that thought was. Because that's how you change a thought. And if you change your thinking, you change your life. That's how this all works. That's why this is the actual work to get your life to change. You have to be connected to a higher power. You have to be connected, have faith. But then after that, if it is to be, it's up to me. We've been programmed with limiting beliefs. We've been programmed with things that are not helping us get to the life that we deserve. So we have to be conscious of thinking about what we're thinking about. And once we do that, ladies and gentlemen, once we're able to think about what we're thinking about, we can take back control of our life. You can take back control of your thought life, which will take back control of your emotions. It'll take back control of how you're feeling on a daily basis. Because again, if we want to go off and design our ideal life, we want to go off and get to a life that we don't need a break from, then we have to adapt some of these mindsets. We have to start doing the things of successful people. We have to be aware of how much we're in the primal emotions versus how much we're in the powerful emotions. Like on a daily basis, how much are you sitting in those things? How much are you sitting in them? How much is that what we experience? Because again, it takes energy to go after our goals and dreams. It's going to take energy from you. It's going to take you sitting in a better state in order for you to go make these things happen. So you have to be aware of it, ladies and gentlemen. This quote here says, "Of course, we become what we think about." The real question is, do we know what we're thinking about? If you actually believe that you become what you think about, that we become what we think about, how we think about ourselves, how we think about life. Oh, I don't need much. Oh, if I could just get through. Oh, if I, right? Like that's what you're going to get out of life. You could also know what ideal life looks like, what you would want to have, because then your mind, your thoughts will create what you want to see on that side. So if we know what we're thinking about, the question is, do we know what we're thinking about? The action step for today says, take your emotional temperature today and assess your mood. Ask this critical thinking question. How did I end up in this mood? I just said that, right? How did I end up in this mood? What thoughts did you process that put you in that mood? Really, this is an exercise because if you do this exercise, ladies and gentlemen, you ask yourself, how did I end up in this mood? Right? You ask yourself that question, and your first answer, the first thing that comes to your mind is an external thing. How did I end up in this mood? Man, my job. How did I end up in this mood? Man, my family. How did I end up in this mood? Man, this person. Man, the guy that cut me off in traffic. Man, this person. If that's the first thing you think about when you ask yourself, how did I get in this mood? We're still at, right? We still have some growth to do in our mindset. We're still letting the external create our internal. We don't realize that that doesn't create our internal. You might go back and reflect on something that happened and then say, well, how do I think about that? What story did I just tell myself about that guy or about my job or about my boss or about that thing, right? How did I process that? Because that will then tell you, right? That will then tell you what thoughts you were having to put you in the mood that you're in. And the way that we overcome that is just reprogram. Tell ourselves the opposite. Get in a different state. Move your body. Smile. I gave you guys the smile technique a bunch. Next time you get upset, right, and you're just upset, paste a smile on your face and do it for like 90 seconds, minute and a half. Just right, just smile. Just smile. Do it for 90 seconds. Next time you're feeling down and upset and all this stuff, do it. See how your biochemistry changes. You can't be down and paste a smile on your face, just like you can't be in primal and powerful emotions at the same time. Once you realize how powerful that is, you get to control your life. You get to control your emotions. You get to control all of it, y'all. And that's what we're here to do. In order to get to the life you don't need a break from, you got to learn how to control these things. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. Your families deserve it. If nobody tells you, I'm always going to tell you, you deserve to win. People are counting on you to win. People are counting on you to do the hard work. They're not doing the hard work. So somebody's got to do it in the family. Someone's got to do it in the neighborhood. Somebody's got to do it. They're counting on you to do it. No one ever said this was going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Go out today, do something that scares you. I'll see you guys back on Wednesday. Take care.